Hey everyone, have you ever stopped to think if an object, a thing, can actually be immoral? Not an action, like stealing, but a physical object. It's a weird thought, right? Well, today we're diving deep into how everyday stuff, from the ink on your skin to the phone in your hand, gets slapped with a moral label by society. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a simple question. Look at this plastic bottle. Is it immoral? I know, it sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? It's just an object. But the second you start connecting it to things like ocean pollution, overflowing landfills, and its impact on our environment, suddenly it's not just a bottle anymore, is it? It becomes an idea, a symbol of something much bigger.
And this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. See, we're all pretty used to judging actions. I think most of us can agree that stealing is wrong. Simple enough. But what about objects? Is a big, gas-guzzling car inherently bad? Or is it just the act of driving it that's the problem? And that little complication, that's exactly where things start to get really, really interesting.
So, Section 1. When objects become moral, how everyday things get judged. All right, so how in the world do objects, products, and even services end up with a moral label stuck to them? Well, it turns out these judgments aren't locked in place. Nope. They actually shift and evolve all the time, depending on the culture, the context, and, you guessed it, a whole lot of debate.
You know, the research we're looking at today puts it perfectly. It says, shared moral sentiments toward objects, products, or services are neither fixed nor are universally shared. And that just nails our main idea, right? What one generation thinks is totally fine, the next generation might see as completely immoral. I mean, just think about something like fur coats or even plastic grocery bags. Their moral status is constantly up for grabs.
Okay, next up, the tattoo's moral journey, a case study in shifting sentiments. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a fantastic case study, the tattoo. Honestly, there's almost no better example of an object, or in this case, a body modification, that has been on an absolutely wild moral roller coaster through history.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It shows you just how dramatic that journey has been. In early societies, a tattoo is a deep mark of identity, something spiritual. Fast forward to the 19th century, and it becomes a sailor's badge of honor, a symbol of adventure. During World War II, it was a sign of bravery and remembrance. But then, in the post-war years, its meaning completely flipped. It got tied to criminality, to gangs. And now, today, it's seen as mainstream art, a form of self-expression. It's the exact same act, but it carries totally different moral weight depending on the time and place. Amazing, right?
All right, news section. The making of a moral. The process of persuasion. So we've seen that morality can change. But the big question is, how does it happen? Because it's not random. There's actually a pretty complex social process going on under the surface, almost like a persuasion campaign that shapes how we all feel about something.
Now, researchers have a name for this process. They call it marketplace moralization. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but the concept is actually pretty straightforward. Think of it like a battle of ideas, an arena where different groups, we're talking activists, consumers, big corporations, even governments, all try to convince everyone else that their view on an object's morality is the right one.
And this process usually unfolds in about 4 stages. First, someone has to raise the issue. They challenge something we all just took for granted, like that plastic bottle we talked about. Next, they've got to persuade others. This is where they build their arguments and start recruiting allies. From there, they organize support, mobilizing people, money, and resources. And if they pull it off, the final stage is a new consensus. A new shared moral belief is born.
Section 4. 4 Shades of Consensus. The outcomes of moral debates. Okay, but here's the thing. These moral debates don't always end with everyone holding hands and agreeing. The research actually points to 4 very different outcomes, 4 different ways these discussions can wrap up. Or, not wrap up at all.
So this table lays out the 4 possibilities. First, an issue can become harmonized. This is where pretty much everyone agrees. Think about donating to charity. We almost universally see that as a good thing. Second, an issue can be divided. This is where society has strong opposing views. A perfect example is the Hummer. For some, it's a symbol of freedom. For others, it's a symbol of waste. Then you have dispersed, where a small minority starts challenging a widely held view, like the very first critics of bullfighting in Spain. And finally, morality can be imposed through laws and regulations, where you have to conform even if there isn't total agreement. Think about things like the COVID mask mandates.
Now for the big so what question. Why this framework matters from theory to today's headlines. Okay, so this is a really neat academic framework, but why does it actually matter in the real world? Well, because once you get it, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere, from the stuff you buy at the store to the biggest debates lighting up today's headlines.
I mean, these moral battlegrounds are all around us. Think about the huge debates over eating meat, driven by concerns for animal rights and climate change. Or what about the intense ethical questions swirling around generative AI right now? We see it when brands like Lush take a really explicit moral stance on issues, and of course in the massive societal fights over things like food policy or gun ownership. When you peel back the layers, all of these are battles of marketplace moralization.
And this all leads to a really powerful insight. Markets aren't just places for buying and selling stuff. They are arenas where we as a society go to debate our values and our moral emotions. Seriously, every single time you choose a product that's labeled cruelty-free or decide to boycott a brand over its practices, you are stepping right into that arena.
So, what can you actually take away from all this? Let's call it your takeaway toolkit. First, for you as an individual, it helps to understand that a lot of these moral disputes are really about different perspectives, not some absolute universal truth. For businesses, this shows that slapping on a label like sustainable isn't just marketing fluff. It's a powerful moral claim that comes with real weight. And for policymakers, understanding this whole process is absolutely crucial for navigating complex issues and creating smarter policies that actually reflect public sentiment.
And that brings us to our final thought. This process, it never, ever stops. The moral landscape is always shifting under our feet. So I want you to just take a look at the objects in your own life. Your smartphone, maybe an electric car, your fast fashion clothes. Which one of those, which one's morality do you think we'll be fiercely debating 10 years from now?